Here's something nobody talks about. The most comfortable generation in human history is also the most restless. Think about that for a second. Your grandparents survived on less, way less. No instant delivery, no streaming, no skip ad, no same day anything. They waited. They worked. They made do. And a lot of them look back on those years as the best of their lives. Meanwhile, you can get almost anything you want delivered to your door by tomorrow morning. You can watch any movie ever made in 30 seconds. You can order food from 6 different restaurants without putting on shoes. And yet, something doesn't feel right, does it? You scroll for 40 minutes and can't find anything to watch. You get your food and it's fine. You buy the thing you've been wanting, and by the next day, it's just a thing. Most people blame themselves for this. I'm ungrateful. I just need to be more positive. Maybe I'm depressed. But what if it's none of that? What if the problem isn't you? It's the invisible thing that quietly rewrote the rules of how your brain works. Something that started happening so slowly, so comfortably, that you never even noticed. By the end of this video, you're going to see something you can't unsee. And once you see it, you're going to start noticing it everywhere. But there's something I need to tell you first. Something that flips everything you think about convenience completely upside down. There's a reason the easiest life in human history doesn't feel as good as it should. And it's not what you think. We're starting here. Once upon a time, someone decided that the goal of modern life was to make everything easier. And honestly, that made a lot of sense. Because back then, hard wasn't charming. Hard was brutal. In 1900, the average American household spent about 58 hours every single week just doing basic chores. Cooking from scratch, hauling water, washing everything by hand. That's basically a full-time job. Just to keep people fed and clean, just to survive. Then came the machines. The washing machine, the refrigerator, the car. Each one was a gift. Each one handed time back to people who desperately needed it. By 1975, those 58 hours of chores had dropped to 18. By today, the average American spends about 2 hours a day on all household tasks combined. 2 hours, down from 58. That is an almost miraculous amount of time handed back to people. And the deal was simple. Convenience will free you up. It will save your energy. It will buy you time to actually live. And for a while, it worked. But somewhere along the way, the deal changed. Convenience stopped being something we used. It became something we needed. And that quiet shift from tool to need is where things got interesting. Because when convenience becomes a need, your brain starts to rewire around it. Not dramatically, not overnight, just slowly, quietly, one small shortcut at a time. And right now, I want to walk you through 4 shifts that happen inside your head. Shifts you almost certainly never noticed. And together, they explain almost everything about why modern life can feel a little hollow. The first one is going to sound so obvious that you'll almost dismiss it. Don't. Because when you really see it, it changes everything. The first shift is about something you do every single day without thinking. And there's a study about it that kind of broke the internet when researchers first published it, coming up right after this. Here's a weird experiment. In 2012, A group of researchers gave people pieces of paper and asked half of them to fold origami, little paper cranes, paper frogs, stuff like that. The other half got the same origami that someone else had already made. Then they asked everyone, "How much is this worth to you?" The people who folded it themselves said it was worth 5 times more. 5 times. Same paper, same result, but because they made it, it felt worth more. The researchers called this the IKEA effect. You've probably felt this without knowing the name. You assemble a shelf from IKEA. It's slightly crooked. Took 3 hours. You argued with someone while doing it, and you love that shelf. You look at it like it's a masterpiece. You buy a pre-assembled shelf from a furniture store, and 3 weeks later, you can't even remember buying it. Here's what that study was really saying though. Effort doesn't just cost you something, it gives you something back. When you put effort into something, your brain starts to care about it. It starts to attach meaning to it. It treats it differently than everything else that came easy. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Think about what we've slowly removed effort from. Cooking. We used to plan meals, go to market, prepare everything from scratch. Now we tap an app and 30 minutes later, someone we've never met hands us a bag of food through the door. Getting somewhere. We used to know every road in our town. Now we follow a blue line and never really learn where we are. Even finding something to watch. We used to wait for a Pacific show on a Pacific night. We planned for it. We talked about it at school. Now we scroll for 45 minutes through an infinite wall of options and somehow feel nothing. Every time we remove effort from an experience, we thought we were improving it. More time, less work, better. But something else was happening at the same time. We were also removing the thing that made the brain say, this mattered. When a kid learns to ride a bike, they fall, they cry a little, they get back on, they wobble, and then one day they get it. That moment feels incredible to them. You couldn't replicate that feeling by handing them a bike and saying, here, you can just ride it now. The struggle was the point. Not because struggle is noble, but because effort is how the brain learns to care. Think about your favorite meal you've ever eaten. Was it the greatest food technically? Or was it a meal you cooked yourself once? Or something your grandmother made? Something you drove 2 hours to eat? Something tied to a story? Almost never is the best meal from some frictionless delivery app. Because the effort, the drive, the wait, the occasion made it matter. We didn't just optimize for ease. We accidentally optimized away meaning. But that's only the first shift. The second one is sneakier because it's not about effort. It's about something we all lost without even realizing it was valuable in the first place. There's a concept economists and brain researchers actually call the utility of anticipation, meaning waiting for something has real, measurable value. We kill it. Here's what that actually costs us. Do you remember what it felt like to want something for a really long time? Not for 10 minutes while your cart loads. I mean really want something for weeks. Think about being a kid waiting for summer. You'd count down the days on a calendar. You'd plan exactly what you were going to do. You'd imagine it over and over. And by the time summer actually got there, even just the first day, it felt enormous. Or waiting for a movie to come out. In the old days, you'd see a trailer in a theater and the movie was 8 months away. 8 months. You'd think about it, talk about it, imagine it, build it up in your head. Scientists at University College London, they ran a study on this exact thing, and they found something wild. Anticipating a reward activates the same pleasure centers in the brain as the reward itself. And in some cases, the anticipation actually produces more dopamine than the reward. Let that sit for a second. The waiting was sometimes better than the getting. Think about what that means for how we live now. You want a book? It's on your Kindle in 9 seconds. You want a song? It starts before you finish asking for it. You want the second season of a show? All 10 episodes drop at once, tonight. You order something. It's at your door tomorrow. We have basically murdered the waiting period, and we celebrated it while we did it. No more waiting, everything instant. This is amazing. But the research says something different. The brain was living inside that waiting. Here's the simplest way to think about it. When you were a kid and someone said, "We're going to go to Disney World in 6 months," those 6 months were full of pleasure. You imagined rides, you talked about it, you thought about what foods you'd eat. You almost lived it twice. Once in your imagination over 6 months, and then once for real. Now imagine someone says that, but then immediately hands you a VR headset of the full Disney World experience. Every ride, every second, right now. It's technically more content, more complete, more everything, but it doesn't feel the same. Because the box was part of the gift. The weeks of wondering were part of the pleasure. We thought we were just speeding up delivery. We were actually cutting the experience in half. There's even research on vacations that shows this. The vacation you plan for 3 months and talk about and count down to, you rate it higher, not because the beach was better, because you lived inside the anticipation before you even got there, and your brain counts that. So we shortened the distance between wanting something and having it. We didn't just speed things up. We quietly cut one of the places where happiness was actually happening. And if you think that's subtle, wait until you hear about the third shift, because this one is wild. Convenience was supposed to make decisions easier. It did the exact opposite. There's a famous study involving jam, just jam in a grocery store, that revealed something deeply unsettling about what too much choice does to us. The results were so counterintuitive that researchers almost didn't believe them. And we're going to get into that in a minute. If we just lost our sense of time, we might eventually find our way back. But we didn't just lose the boundaries of our day. We lost something even more fundamental to how we experience happiness. We lost the one thing we actually asked for. Let me tell you about a table of jam. A psychologist named Sheena Eger, she set up a tasting booth in a grocery store. On some days, she put out 6 types of jam. On other days, 24. Here's what she found. The table with 24 jams attracted more people. More people stopped. More people looked interested. But here's the thing. People who stopped at the table with only 6 jams were 10 times more likely to actually buy something. 10 times. More options, less action, less satisfaction. Psychologist Barry Schwartz wrote a whole book about this called The Paradox of Choice. The core idea is simple. More options should make us happier. That's what we always assume. That's what everything tells us. But in real life, more options often make us miserable. Here's why. Every time you have more options, your brain has to do more work. It has to compare. It has to imagine. It has to weigh what it might be giving up. And when you finally pick something, you immediately start wondering about all the other things you didn't pick. You've done this. I know you have. You pick a restaurant from a list of 20. You order your food. It comes. And somewhere in the back of your head, a small voice says, but what if the other place was better? You couldn't have that thought with only one restaurant in town. One option. It's easy. You go, you eat, you're happy. Or you're not. 20 options, you eat and hold a small silent trial in your mind about whether you made the right call. Now scale that up to every part of daily life. Netflix has tens of thousands of titles. You spend 40 minutes scrolling and then either watch the same show you've already seen 3 times or pick something new and spend half the movie quietly wondering if you should have picked something else. Your phone has 100 apps. You open it, scroll between them. Can't decide what you want. Close it and pick it back up 12 seconds later. Online shopping gives you 1,400 versions of the same running shoe. You filter, compare, read reviews, second guess, compare again, and somehow feel tired when you're done, even before anything arrived. Convenience was supposed to remove friction, but it also removed limits. And limits, weirdly, are what makes choosing feel good. Think about this. In the 1990s, if you went to a video rental store, they had maybe 300 movies. You walked the aisles. You found something good enough. You rented it. You watched it. Did you always love it? No. But did you spend 45 minutes scrolling and walk away watching nothing? Also no. The fewer the options, the more committed we are. And the more committed we are, the more we actually enjoyed the thing. Convenience multiplied our options, and multiplying options multiplied our second guessing. And all that second guessing, it turned enjoyment into a kind of quiet, low-grade exhaustion. We call this freedom, but our brains experience it as work. And there's one more shift, the fourth one. This is the one nobody wants to hear, because this one means we didn't just change how we act, we changed what we expect. The fourth shift is the one that connects all the others, and it explains something specific, why nothing feels quite as exciting as it used to. And this one's going to stick with you. Here's a comparison that's going to feel a little uncomfortable. A slot machine and a phone. On the surface, totally different things. But psychologists say the mechanism is almost identical. With a slot machine, you pull the lever, you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes nothing, sometimes a little, sometimes a jackpot. The randomness is the whole thing. Your brain can't predict it, so it stays hooked, waiting. Now think about scrolling. You swipe down, you don't know what you'll see. Sometimes nothing interesting, sometimes something that makes you laugh, sometimes something that generally moves you. You don't know which, so you keep going. Researchers call this intermittent reinforcement. It's the most powerful behavioral loop that exists. Not consistent rewards, random rewards. Because random rewards keep you pulling the lever far longer than any guaranteed reward ever would. Every app on your phone was engineered around this principle. Not accidentally, on purpose. And here's where it connects to convenience. Before apps, before streaming, before delivery at your door, you had to wait for good stuff. And in the waiting, your brain built up pressure. You'd look forward to Friday night because that was when the show was on. You'd look forward to payday because that was when you could afford the thing you wanted. You'd look forward to the weekend because that was when life opened up. Your whole week was punctuated by small moments of release, little rewards scattered across time. Now every reward is available every second. And what happens when rewards are always available? You stop looking forward to them. Think of it like this. Imagine you gave a kid a piece of candy every single day, multiple times a day, whenever they wanted. After a while, candy doesn't feel special anymore. It's just there. It's not a treat. It's wallpaper. That's what constant stimulation does to the brain. Every high becomes the new normal. And once the new normal is set, anything below it starts to feel like nothing. So you need more. You need faster. You need the next thing. Not because you're greedy, because your brain adapted. It does what brains always do. It adjusts to what's normal, and then it hungers for more. There's even a word for this. Hedonic adaptation. Your brain resets to whatever baseline you give it. Give it occasional good things feel wonderful. Give it constant good things, nothing feels particularly good anymore. This is why people who win the lottery are reported to return to roughly the same happiness levels within a year or two. This is why a new house feels incredible for 3 months and then just feels like where you live. This is why you open an app that has entertained you for 1,000 times and feel nothing. We train our brains to expect immediate, constant, varied stimulation. And when you do that, when your baseline shifts that high, ordinary life starts to feel weirdly flat. Not because ordinary life gets worse, because the threshold for feeling something moved up so fast, so quietly, that nothing below it registers anymore. We didn't become lazy. We adapted. Our brains did exactly what brains are built to do. They adjust to the environment. The problem is the environment changed faster than we understood what we were signing up for. And now all 4 of those shifts together, that's where we're going to go next. Because when you stack them on top of each other, something clicks. Let me lay all 4 shifts out at once. Shift 1. We removed effort from most of our daily experiences. And when we remove effort, you often remove the meaning that comes attached to it. Shift 2. We eliminated the waiting period. And waiting, it turns out, is where a huge portion of pleasure actually lives. Shift 3. We multiplied our options until choosing became exhausting. And the exhaustion quietly replaced the enjoyment. Shift 4. We made rewards constant and instant. And constant instant rewards train the brain to feel less from everything. Now here's the thing about those 4 shifts. None of them were forced on you. Every single one of them came wrapped in something that looked like a gift. Easier cooking, faster delivery, more choices, instant entertainment. Each one seemed like a yes. Each one had a cost printed in tiny invisible letters on the back. And the hidden cost wasn't dramatic. Nobody woke up one day and said, I feel meaningless and I don't know why. It was subtler than that. It was more like a slow fading. Things that used to feel exciting started to feel just okay. Okay things started to feel like nothing. And nothing started to feel like restlessness. And when we feel restless, we do the most natural thing in the world. We reach for something convenient. And that convenient thing gives us a tiny hit of stimulation. And for a moment, the restlessness quiets. And then it comes back. And we reach again. It's not a crisis. It's not depression. It's a feedback loop. A loop that convenience built around us. So gradually, so gently, so pleasantly that we never had a reason to question it. Until now. I want to be really clear about something. This is not a video telling you to throw away your phone, or delete your apps, or go live in the woods. Convenience is not the villain here. Convenience gave people their lives back, genuine, irreplaceable gifts. Nobody should be hand washing clothes and calling it meaningful. But here's the thing. There's a difference between using convenience as a tool and outsourcing your entire experience of life to it. When convenience is a tool, it serves you. When convenience is a reflex, when every moment of boredom, friction, or waiting gets immediately smoothed over, it starts to quietly replace the experiences where meaning actually grows. Think about the last time you felt genuinely proud of something. Not entertained, not comfortable, proud. I'd be willing to bet it involved effort. Something that was hard, or took time, or didn't go perfectly. A project, a conversation, a trip you planned yourself, a meal you cooked from scratch, a skill you spent months learning. Those things feel different. You know they do. Not because hard is better than easy, but because your brain marks them differently. Effort says this costs something. And because it costs something, your brain files it under this mattered. Here's what I've started to think about this. What if you didn't try to use less convenience? but instead got strategic about where you let it in. Maybe you keep the food delivery for Tuesday nights when you're exhausted, but on Sunday you make something. Not because cooking's magical, but because doing it yourself does something to you that no delivery ever can. Maybe you still use streaming, but you pick one thing and commit to it before you start scrolling. Remove the choosing. Remove the 45-minute scroll. Choose before you're choosing with the scroll reflex. Maybe you let yourself look forward to something. Actually look forward to it. Don't consume it the second it's available. Wait. Build it up a little. Let the anticipation do its thing. None of these are dramatic. None of them require sacrifice. They just require the smallest bit of intentional friction, enough to signal to your brain, this one matters. Because here's what I really think is going on. We're not broken. We're not ungrateful. We're not lazy. We're people with perfectly normal human brains, living inside an environment that was optimized for something our brains never evolved to handle. And the beautiful part, once you see the pattern, you can start choosing where you step back in. Not everywhere, not dramatically, just consciously. We started this video with a question: why does easy feel empty? And the answer isn't what most people would guess. It's not that easy things are bad. It's not that suffering is good. It's not that you should want less. It's that your brain was built over hundreds of thousands of years for a life that had effort woven into it, limited choices, natural rhythms, small rewards spaced across time. And in the span of about 40 years, we quietly removed most of those things, not maliciously, just because we could. Because each individual removal seemed like an obvious yes. The problem was never the technology. The problem was the assumption underneath it. The assumption that the best version of life is the easiest version. Because it turns out the brain doesn't experience life that way. The brain experiences life through meaning. And meaning has always come from the same few places: effort, anticipation, commitment, and connection. None of those things are convenient. All of them are essential. The goal was never to make life harder, but somewhere along the way, we removed the parts that made it feel like something. And once you see that, you start to notice it everywhere. If this landed for you, if something clicked, the most useful thing you can do right now is just sit with it for a minute before you click on the next video. Not because watching another video is bad, just as a small experiment. What does it feel like to not immediately reach for the next thing? That feeling you might feel, the slight restlessness, the pull towards something, that's the thing we just spent 40 minutes talking about. And now you can feel it. If you want to go deeper on any of this, I've got more. But for right now, maybe just close the laptop. Go outside for 10 minutes. Let something be slow. See what that does.